Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Emulator Review. I'm your homeboy Jason Heine, kicking it with you like I usually do on these glorious occasions. I know it seems it may have been a while since we last met up, but hey, thank you for your time kicking it with me today. So in the interest of time, let's take it back a few years, maybe 20 or so years. And when I say Neo Geo, what comes to mind? I know that can be kind of vague. I mean, we've got consoles, handhelds, arcades. Let me be more specific. How about Neo Geo in the arcades? What comes to mind there? I think I speak on behalf of most people. I think they all would agree it would be the oh-so-ultimate Metal Slug. I know when I'm talking about Neo Geo in the arcade, that's what comes to my mind. But, you know, we can't forget classic gems such as Aero Fighters, Fatal Fury, King of Fighters. I mean, they spawned tons of sequels off of this one. And in no way, shape, or form can we ever forget the Samurai Showdown series. So what do we know? Well, we know that there were a ton of games released for the Neo Geo arcade systems, also known as the MVS, the multi-video system. The Neo Geo arcade systems are very unique. Similar to Nintendo's Play Choice, they were able to play multiple games. The cabinet choices came in a couple varieties of flavors. You had a 1 slot, 2, 4, and 6 slot. So you could have a variety of games installed at one time. Now, my second home, the arcade that I grew up at, had this exact setup. They had 2 of the 2-slot cabinets. They had Metal Slug, Bust a Move, Samurai Showdown, and the game I'm going to talk about today. It's a game that maybe not every Neo Geo cabinet had, and it's kind of rare to come across. And if you can find this game anywhere, you're going to drop at least a couple $100 US on it. This is one of the few, if not the only racing game in the arcades I can stand to play while using the joystick. You see, in the arcades, you gotta have a steering wheel, right? Right. Well, usually people do not know how to pull this off and make it work correctly, but guess what? This game actually does it beautifully. I am talking, of course, about Neo Drift Out, New Technology. This is a game that you may or may not know about. Due to its rarity and just all-around awesomeness, I decided to do a review of it. Now, this game was released in 1996, and it wasn't the first quote-unquote Neo Drift title to exist. What it comes down to is in the whole Neo Drift franchise, this game, New Technology, is the superior title, so we're going to dedicate our time with this one. The Neo Drift franchise was developed by Visco Corporation starting in 1991. New Technology is a sequel to a game called Neo Drift Out 94. Before that, it was just entitled Neo Drift, available only in Japan in the arcades. Here's some footage of the original Neo Drift. It's obviously a top-down racer that actually almost resembles a little bit of the Micro Machines that I know and love. It's an alright game, other than the fact that controls are pretty bad and the ground has no effect on the car's handling, asphalt, dirt, rock, sand. And I think the camera angle zoomed in a little too far. It's too difficult to tell what's coming up, but even with those issues, it's still a great game. One of the first games to my knowledge to have actual licensing from car manufacturers such as Mazda, Subaru, Toyota to use their vehicles in the game. So that's pretty dope. And then 3 years later, in 1994, Visco Corporation releases Drift Out 94. And this, my friends, is when the tables turned. Visco really did what I think they intended to do with the original. The graphics look way better. You can now choose your own country and flag, choose from an even broader selection of vehicles, and the appearance is just immaculate. It really feels like a different game, and it really looks polished here. This game may be a couple strawberries short of a fruit salad, and the drummer may not be playing exactly in time. We now have some really sluggish controls, and I hate to mention that the collision detection is just completely whacked. I mean, in a racer, when's the last time you could do this? Or flip when you do this? Yeah, it's a little screwed up. And the speed and timing is kind of weird. It actually has some push-pull going on, or when you whip around corners, it speeds the car up, and then on straightaways, it slows it down. And with the controls being so sluggish, it just doesn't work. You can't do that. You can't throw all these kindergartners on an ice skating rink with no ice skates and then say, yeah, go ahead and do a freaking double back Tripayala, whatever they call them. I don't know. I just don't really understand that. But it's still a blast to play, and it's night and day between the original. They're obviously going in the right direction, so that is a plus just in itself. Drift Out even made it over to the Super Famicom console in Japan, was released in 1994, and they called it Super Drift Out World Rally Championships, and I'll just show it briefly. Now, what doesn't make sense to me is why you'd go the opposite direction. We're in 94, for Christ's sake. Why would you go back 4 years and go with a game engine that's like this when you have this? I don't understand it. And I know that the Super Nintendo hardware is capable of doing it. So you can't give me that lame-ass excuse jargon. There's no excuse for it. They could have done it. They could have made it like a cake. A little Mode 7 here, a little background shaded textures, a couple sprites here and there. Poof! Happy birthday, kids. So now that we hand-in-hand walk down memory lane on the Neo Drift history, let's get on to the main event. Drift Out new technology was exclusive to the Neo Geo MVS and the Neo Geo CD. Visco, with good reason, took the next 2 years and hung out in the lab just to make the concoction right. And I feel that the game here is really what they had in their minds from the get-go. And it's nice to see it executed correctly. This is a great, great game. So here we go. We're really milking it now. We've got licensing from car manufacturers such as Subaru, Mitsubishi, and Toyota. When you start the game out, they give you a nice little tutorial on how to play. I love it. It's just 2 buttons, gas, brake, and your joystick for turning. That's right, even your mom can play this. So they give you a nice little practice stage to run through. Once you've completed that, they throw you into the first race. What's different in this one now is that we have some animation going on. We have some movement from the crowd and characters here and there. There's a lot more feedback from the vehicle now, spraying up dirt or dust or snow, exhaust, skid marks here and there. But what's hard for me to show you and explain to you until you're actually playing it is that the controls in this game, and they work really, really well. Now remember of all the problems that the Neo Drift franchise had with their games. Remember the issues. First thing, notice the camera angle, zooming in and out. It's very dynamic. The sense of speed, it works. It's forgiving around the corners. It slows up just a hair. Camera angle zooms in, zooms back out. The collision detection works. When you bump and nudge another vehicle, it doesn't strike you down. When you run into a corner, it just kind of puts you back on the course. It doesn't flip you over and make you lose your spot. Very dynamic courses and terrain that actually do play a huge role on the controls and the handling of the vehicle. What's great about this game, it's so easy just to pick up and play. It makes you look as if you're a professional drifter when really, I'm just judging the corners and using the terrain to make correct or incorrect decisions on the corners. Other than the skill level being a little difficult, not with the AI, but just the levels. I think I failed 10 times on this snow level. It just really pisses me off, but boy, is it fun. That wouldn't hamper any of my opinions on it whatsoever. I think all of us love a good challenge on a game, you know, to a point before you just start going bonkers. But so the furthest I got was level 5. It's the snow level. It's called Scandinavia, by the way. And in the arcade bio settings, I selected normal difficulty. So there's definitely an element of challenge to this game. So if you feel like you'd like to jump in and master some car puzzle, ducking and dodging, weaving, sticking and moving type of a drift game, this is definitely the one for you. It's a very rare game, released on the Neo Geo arcade and Neo Geo CD. What started out as kind of a rocky start, no pun intended. I think they let the turkey simmer for quite some time before it was fully released, and now we have a game that really does work. I wish it was 2-player though. They could have added maybe some elements of customization on the vehicles to help handling characteristics, maybe appearance. I don't know. There's only so much you can do to that sprite there twirling around. But for its last release, I think it does what it's supposed to do without any other sugarcoating on top of it. I'd like to encourage everyone, please go check this game out. Buy it if you have a Neo Geo CD, if you can find it. And if you have the dedicated Neo Geo arcade MVS cabinet, by all means, drop the money on it, yo. Just stay away from that Super Famicom port. Start your engines, buckle up, and get your drift on. So, the EMU review grade for Neo Drift Out new technology.
This game gets a B+.